Here we are then out on the Sow Valley footpath in Coventry. Traffic noise probably in the background. Bit of a breezy day. I'm going to try and get some whitethroats perching on this rough grassland and taking the insects back. We'll see what we can get. I've got my ghillie top on. I've got my ghillie hood, might put that on as well. We'll just plod on and see how we get on. Let's hope we get something. I discovered some time ago that being a photographer, especially a wildlife photographer, relies on many things. Not only your skill as a photographer, which obviously is important, but you also have to be patient. I think patience is the thing that photography needs the most. If you're a photographer, you need an abundance of patience. This is my third visit now to the Sow Valley, almost consecutive nights. I've hardly taken a photo, but you have to be here because if you're not here, you miss it. So I'm always here. Sometimes I'll sit around for 2 or 3 hours, sometimes longer, but sometimes I don't even click the shutter, and that's pretty similar to today. I've done a couple of landscape shots today, believe it or not, with a 600mm lens, and that's it. That's not what I'm after. I'm after kestrels, buzzards. I've just seen a buzzard, and it took a rabbit, but it was miles away. Saw it with the rabbit, but it wouldn't have been a very good photograph. It was just absolutely miles away, even for a long lens prime, so I didn't bother. You have to be patient. That's what it's all about. They do say that patience is rewarded. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes you go home empty-handed, but that's all part and parcel of the game. I'm still out in the countryside. It's not a bad day. It's warm. It's a bit breezy. Overcast to sunshine occasionally, but it's nice to be out and about regardless, although I would like to take some pictures, but we'll see. I'll stay here for a while longer. Okay, let's have a pan round with the camera. I'll show you exactly where I am, as I've mentioned the road. So this is where I'm standing. Behind my camera and lens there's a Tesco superstore, and if I come all around you can see I'm actually in some beautiful, beautiful common grassland with woods and trees. Beyond those trees there is a farm, and if I keep coming round to the right hand side, I'm going to come round to the road, and you may see traffic off in the distance just passing over. You may not. It is a busy road though. Cars are backwards and forwards all the while, and obviously this road leads to the main hospital in Coventry. But this area where I am now is very popular for buzzards, kestrels, all sorts of birds. This field is actually normally teeming with whitethroat. They land on these thistle and gorse and the brambles, and they take off little insects and bits back to the nest. But whenever you turn up as a photographer, they're never here, which is actually why I'm shooting this video now, because photographic wise at the moment today's a bit dead. But we'll carry on regardless and see what happens. Do another couple of minutes while the sun's trying to come out. You may well hear and you may not. There is a road off to my right hand side. It's a busy A road, lots of traffic up and down all day every day. It's on a main route to the city centre and the hospital. Where I am is just a bit of wasteland really, but this is a perfect habitat for the kestrels and the buzzards, as I've said, which is why I come here. Occasionally you get people come down here in really noisy cars. I don't know why you have to have a car that's so noisy. Perhaps it's an extension of your penis. I don't know. Some people may say that my long prime lens is an extension of my penis. That may well be the case, but my long lens doesn't make any noise. I don't know why people have to make so much noise. I even find that in a pub. Go into a pub and there's always somebody who has to be shouting at a table. Why do you have to shout when people are sitting next to you? Anyway, rant over. I have recorded a video regarding dot sight finders that mount on the hot shoe of your camera, which are ideal when using long lenses such as a 500, 600mm, because trying to acquire a subject through your viewfinder is sometimes impossible, especially if it's a bird in flight or a bird that's some way off in a tree. So I used, they were little cheap Chinese Russian-y things I used before, but I've just bought this Olympus EE1. I know that Nikon do one as well, but this was a better price, and I quite like this because unlike the others, this has a pop-up on it. So if I just do that for you, you can see, well, that actually pops up. You won't be able to see the illuminated reticle because it's too bright a day. I think even if I put my hand in the way, you may see it, you may not. I can't see it in the viewfinder of this camcorder. But these things are a godsend, and once they're calibrated properly, all you have to do is find your subject in the tree or in the sky, put this reticle on it, which is through the viewfinder here, and then when you look through the lens of the camera, you will be looking straight at that subject right in the middle of your frame. They are a godsend for wildlife photographers and a godsend for animals or birds that are some way off in the distance, which you would find almost impossible to find looking through the viewfinder of the camera, because the long prime lenses have such a narrow field of view. Great investment. As an aside, I just thought about the comment I made about my prime lens being an extension of my penis. Actually, it can't be, because I'm not trying to attract attention. I'm here sat in the middle of a great big piece of common grassland with a ghillie suit on, with a camouflage lens, hoping not to be spotted by anybody, especially people. I mean, it's nice to talk to people as a photographer. They're obviously interested in what you do, and that's fantastic. But to be honest, I'd rather be here, because whilst you're talking to people, you're missing shots. So I try and hide myself away. So I don't think my prime lens is an extension of my penis. I'll retract that statement. It occurred to me while I'm sat here waiting for something to happen that my 600mm Nikon f4 lens is not the VR version, it's the AFS-II, which is the silent wave version, and it's a great lens. It really is a fabulous prime lens. I note now that a lot of the other photographers that we watch on YouTube, Morton Hilmer, Steve Perry, etc., they're all on the latest VR versions. Now, they obviously make a lot more money than I do. But one thing I did note, and Steve Perry said, was that when he's got his 600 f4 on a tripod, he turns the VR off. So basically he ends up back to the same position I am. Okay, he might have nano crystal technology on his lens, which stops it from getting too wet. But in other words, when he puts his 600 f4 on a tripod and switches the VR off, he's in exactly the same position as I am. VR on a 600mm lens, in my personal opinion, correct me if you think I'm wrong, is a bit pointless really. You can't handhold these lenses. I know they've also got a little bit lighter than my AFS-II version, but they're not that much lighter. You're not going to swing one of these around in your hand pointing it up at the sky to photograph wildlife, and they are far too heavy, regardless of whether or not the VR gives you 4 stops extra. Hand-holding is just, for me, it's not viable. And Steve Perry has confirmed that. I'm sure it was Steve Perry that said it, that when he puts his on the tripod, he turns off the VR. There is a VR, I think, tripod mode, but I think it doesn't quite work as it should. It might add a bit of blur to the shot, so he prefers to turn his off. So basically, if you're looking and thinking of buying a Nikon 600mm prime lens, or a 500 or a 400 f2.8, which actually would be my preferred lens these days, because you can put a converter on a 400 2.8, turn it into almost 600 f4 anyway, half the size. Maybe I should have thought of that before buying the 600 f4. If you're thinking of buying one, you don't have to have VR, especially not on a 600mm f4 lens, and there are some really good deals around on the AFS-II 600mm f4. I would advise probably not going for the older D lens. That's got a very noisy focus, and also you cannot, if you're on autofocus, I believe you can't focus that manually while you're in autofocus, because you'll break the focusing motor in the lens. Whereas with the AFS-II that I use and all the current VR versions, you can manually override autofocus whenever you want to without causing any damage to the lens. So Kestrel came, Kestrel went, managed to get one shot. I'll tag it on to the end of the video. Not the world's most brilliant shot, but I didn't have much time, to be fair. I've now sat here for 3 hours, so I think it's time for me to depart. So this video really didn't go anywhere other than to extol the virtues or not of a Nikon 600mm AFS-II versus the Nikon 600 VR lenses. But if you like the video, keep watching. I'll keep posting them. I'll try and keep the video short. Don't want to bore people to death. If you have any questions, just ask. I'll do my best to answer. And if you have any comments, please make them. I'm always happy to receive comments. Constructive criticism is always welcome. See you soon, folks. Take care. Bye.